Welcome to the Go Grava channel. Today we're going to be specifically talking about how the possibilities of a trade war in 2025 are going to impact cycling, and what my estimates are. They're just estimates. We're doing risk management at all times as business owners, and I'm just taking a look at trade policy and what's been kind of thrown around and what's being talked about and how that could impact cycling to a certain extent. So before I get into that, let me tell you how I started Go Grava, what I saw, the research I did that led me to believe that this was coming anyways, and how that's going to impact you or even a business owner or a CEO of a major company. So when me and my family came back from Europe in the summer of 2022 and looked to buy a house, we could not believe how high inflation had gotten in the United States. The inflation was completely out of control. The cost of groceries, the cost of housing, the cost of just about everything had gone absolutely through the roof. And as I was applying for jobs in the cycling industry in the summer of 2022, I applied for tons of jobs, didn't get a single call back on any one of them. And then from there, I went to product management jobs, couldn't find a single job. And at that point in October of 2022, I figured I'd start my own business in cycling and see how I could build something on my own that kept me in cycling, which is something I love. So the very first thing I did as a person who worked in intelligence within the military, within a realm of the intelligence spectrum, is I went through and did a deep dive analysis of the cycling industry as a whole. And with that, we have these VeloWave bikes that are made in China. And so what I did is I did a deep dive into where do all of our cycling products come from, where do the raw materials originate from, who makes the raw materials, how are things shipped, and even how do the import duties work, how do the tariff schedules work for all these different products. And really what I found was pretty amazing doing this analysis, but I did it a little bit different than maybe a business owner would do or somebody with an MBA did. I did it as a military intelligence person who had a lot of training in operations and intelligence gathering and putting information together to make sense of it all. So what I discovered is it was feasible to go to somebody like AliExpress and order frames, carbon fiber frames, and things like that, and have them custom painted in the United States and start your own brand. That was a feasible option. But my worries at that time was when AliExpress was starting is how cheap the goods were on AliExpress and the impact that those cheap goods would have on businesses in the United States. And I didn't know if going down that road would be sustainable over time. I felt like it would be a problem in the future. So then I wrote a blog article in 2023 after I got the Go Grava website open, and it was basically focusing on things made in the Americas. If we were going to start a bike brand and a bike business, we had to find a way to get things that were made in the Americas into our store or onto our website to kind of diversify, because what I found specifically in the cycling industry is the center of gravity for the cycling industry is Asian manufacturing. That is the center of gravity. Now that's a military term that we use when we're analyzing, opposition forces and things like that. But from understanding the center of gravity, you can kind of figure out what the critical vulnerability is. And the critical vulnerability for the cycling industry is access to the US market. And access to the US market is impacted by tariffs. Now, we've heard a lot of tariffs go around. We've heard something like 25%, 60%, 100% tariffs and things like that. But I do believe tariffs are going to be a thing in 2025. They may not be as drastic as we've heard in the numbers, but they're not going down, right, folks? Tariffs are not going down. So if I was to start a business using AliExpress, it would have been a problem with this tariff changes that are coming in 2025. So one of the things that are going to change in 2025 is your access to AliExpress, Shein, and Temu. For instance, this Rock Brothers bag I bought and put in my bike shop, I bought from AliExpress at a lower cost that I could have got from a wholesaler, and just used AliExpress as pretty much a distributor for my bike shop, just because I'm not paying tariffs on anything. It just comes in, as long as it's under $800, which is the de minimis rule, I can use AliExpress as a wholesale distributor for my bike shop. But I knew that wasn't going to last, right? Having unfettered access to the US market without paying tariffs or anything like that is just not something that I thought was going to be sustainable. Now, De minimis may or may not change in 2025, and the reason I say that is because there's a lot of organizations and corporations that have way more money than the cycling industry does. So right now, the people benefiting from all these shipments and packages coming into the United States is DHL, FedEx, and UPS. And I guarantee they're probably lobbying our politicians to not reduce the de minimis exemption of $800 too far. But I do expect that number of $800 to go down. Possibly, my expectations are $100, which would have a significant impact on all these e-bikes and stuff you see on Amazon. Now, the other thing I did differently is when I had a bike shop, I wanted to open my bike shop in 2023, but I didn't do it because the bike economy was so bad. And what I did is I actually went to South America and tried to find all the bike builders I could and go talk with them. I went through the import process with Merino at Lima, Peru, so I can understand how tariffs applied in South America coming into North America, or at least the United States, and what those rules were and how resilient and robust was South American or Latin American manufacturing when it comes to the cycling industry. Do we have other options? And we do, but they're very, very limited options. They cannot produce the amount of bicycles that we need in our store to sell consistently. And that is an issue too, but we're working through it. Now, everybody, besides pointing to the right side of the aisle or the left side of the aisle, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to give you my experiences and what I'm seeing in my estimates. I do believe tariffs are going to go up. There's ways around it. Through my research, I found like you could import stuff into Taiwan and then assemble it there. And as long as it's a certain percentage made in Taiwan, you might have a lower tariff than you would have if it was just coming straight out of China. But, you know, I believe things are going to change. Now, is it all grim, bad news? I don't know, because I do remember as a kid, even as a teenager, being very interested in business, that Reagan put tariffs on the Japanese when we had car imports. And they were tariffed pretty heavily. And what did Toyota and Honda and all them do? They ended up moving their assembly manufacturing to the United States. So it's not that tariffs are going to immediately wreck the economy or do all this bad stuff. I don't think they will. But I think the problem right now is business owners and leaders of corporations don't know where to go. But where it may go in the future is it may go assembly in the United States. So previous tariffs that were enacted, let's say in the first Trump administration in 2018, I believe, they were really targeting the raw materials that were coming into the United States. And what that ended up doing for some companies is it made them move their manufacturing out of the United States. It had kind of like the opposite effect, I think, than what the administration was looking for. What is probably going to change is the tariffs are probably going to be targeting complete goods coming into the United States. Now, the way around that's going to be you just take your parts and pieces, move them into the United States, and then assemble them in the United States. So you're going to probably hear more of assembled in the USA when we come to bike products and things like that, and we'll just be sourcing different parts. But I think companies have an opportunity here, much like a company we have in our store. See, right here I carry Pivot bicycles, and the unique thing about Pivot bicycles is they really just they run a couple cables through the frame, they put the bottom bracket bearings in, and that's it. I build the whole bike. I mean, I build the whole thing. It comes in pieces, I cut the stem, I wrap the handlebars and things like that. It takes me way more time to assemble the bike, but it gives me an opportunity when I build a bike for a customer to allow them to come in and see me build a bike if they want. That may be happening when you're thinking about like all the expenses of, let's say, shipping all these parts into the United States. You may have to think differently. Instead of having an assembly plant, wouldn't it be nice if you could actually just take those pieces and components and package them up to the bike shop and have the bike shop do the assembly work for you? Not only that, it brings a special opportunity to put a kiosk on the floor with the bike company so a person could actually pick the color of their frame, the type of tires that they want, even their handlebar wrap color, select that on a kiosk and have that box shipped to the bike store, and we do the assembly here. And then all you do as a bike company is warehouse the components, ship them in a box to me as a bike store, and I do the assembly and putting everything together for the customer. So it's just one thing to think about. If products go to whole product tariffs that where individual items or individual components are not as highly tariffed as completed bicycles, then that's a way around for a corporation to save some money and really integrate bike shops back into the scene because there's a lot of expenses doing online business. Because anybody who's never done online business does not understand the human capital cost within a company to service the customer online. Anywhere from 30 to 35% of your manpower within a company that you're spending money on, if you're only selling online, probably is coming from your customer service agents. If you just hand that back off to the bike shop and put assembly in the bike shop, it's a huge cost savings for corporations down the road. And that's where I think we're heading, and I think we're gonna have a revitalization of bike shops as a cost savings measure to corporations, and we're gonna have a lot of bike shops that are gonna be getting phone calls from these smaller bike companies who only sold online before, who are gonna want to be inside your bicycle shop. So that's my thoughts on what's coming up for 2025. It's a bit controversial. Who knows if I'm right? I did see the tariffs coming, without a doubt. I did start pivoting to try to find some North American, South American brands like Velocity USA and Cane Creek and these other companies that are manufacturing in the US. We'll see what happens. Nobody knows the future, but if I think you're sitting around thinking, oh, nothing's gonna happen, my company's just gonna be fine, this is all just talk, I think you're really, really missing the risk management aspect of your job as a leader within a corporation, and you're really missing an opportunity, because I think the bike company that positions itself to assemble bikes in bike shops is the one that's going to be moving rapidly in 2025 and 2026. So with that said, thanks for listening, everybody, to my ramblings, and I'll talk to you later.